everybody. Thank you for the 5th installment of Chopping It Up. This is going to be a special one. This is our Juneteenth episode. You know, everything's going on, and we're trying to make this this should be the real holiday. So, just starting off, guys, say hello. How we doing today?
Good, can't complain.
Chilling.
That's nice.
Race that game, fellas.
Well, man.
Where am I at?
In the
Oh, it's
nation's
complicated.
Nahum on the scoreboard. Nahum's up, man.
Oh man.
I'm going Reno. It's not the best.
Las Vegas.
A miniature version of DC. Might be right, Lekan.
Yeah,
Right.
man.
Since
So,
there is DC in the back, right? We're gonna do something special. I was out in DC 2 weeks ago now, asking the people who are protesting why they're protesting, basically, and trying to find out what the whole movement's about. So I'm gonna bring that to y'all and try to get the same understanding that I got from them from y'all. Just for the Black Lives Matters movement. So y'all ready for questions?
Absolutely.
Bring it on.
Do it.
All right,
Straight to it.
straight to it, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. No cutting.
How was your day? Nothing like that. We just, sorry,
She know why she's over here. Cutting that out. Continue.
All right. Bro, let's go. I guess who wants to start? Who wants to be the first
Dude, I'll go, bro.
person? All right, Mahad Ali.
Great one.
I use my government. Don't use my government. It's
One
MC
theme
Ali.
song, bro.
What does Black Lives Matter mean to you, man?
Man, that's a heavy question. But what it means to me is Black lives are very important and should be cherished, especially like the counter to that is all lives matter, which makes sense, and it does. And clearly all lives do matter, but we're just highlighting that specifically Black lives matter because in society, it doesn't look that way. Just historically and everything that's been going on, especially recently. And as long as we've been a nation, we as in everyone in the States, I'm in Canada, but there have been a lot of, ever since from slavery to Jim Crow, I'm missing a lot of stuff. I just skipped over a lot of stuff to modern day. There have been a lot of problems, and saying Black Lives Matter, these protests that have been going on it's just like bringing attention to that, and hopefully not just that, but also changing people, whether it's changing laws or even just changing hearts of individuals, changing the way they see the world.
So since you are in Canada, man, do you see a difference in terms of Black lives up there versus down here?
What do you mean, like quality of life?
Not just quality of life, but like
You trying to flex Canada's like healthcare and all that stuff. What you talking about?
I guess overall, like satisfaction with the company or with the country.
Yeah, like, do you even think there is a such thing as a Black Lives Matter movement up there, or is it like more equality up there than down here?
All right, just going on what Lekan said, that Freudian slip of saying company.
You saw that, right?
Yeah, governments move like companies, but I don't really see a big difference at all. If anything, all I know is Canada, at least they try to act more like, oh yeah, we care, like we're better than the States. That's their big point. Their big selling point is to say we are better than the United States of America. Mm-hmm. But that's like saying, yeah, at least we're not like that trash over there. We're this kind of trash.
Right,
so,
right.
It's just a different type of racism.
It's just a different type.
All right, Lincoln, how about you? Growing up in New York, what does that mean? Like, does that affect what Black Lives Matter mean to you?
It definitely does. Just, like most of us, we've all experienced our own, trials and tribulations when it comes to, racism. I know that, definitely in New York, it's no secret that, it's a huge issue, especially when it comes to NYPD.
Frisk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was that there when you were like?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was always just an unspoken thing when. Who was it when Bloomberg, they confronted him about it and then he got caught lying about it. That just shows you right there. They know what's going on. People, you don't have to take it from me. Everyone that's ever, lived in New York has all heard the NYPD is rumored to be the most corrupt organization in the country. I mean, but in terms of what Black Lives, mean to me, Black Lives Matter, pretty much the same thing as Mahad was saying. Just really, reiterating the whole thing on letting people know that it's not, just Black Lives Matter. We actually have to, it's kind of sad that we have to remind people that Black Lives Matter. That's what this movement is. It's not taking anything away from you guys. It's not anyone looking for revenge for, 400 years of slavery, all the other oppression, but it's just letting you all know, like, we have for a long time, and this is the time to, we can't wait anymore. Things have to change now. It has to start now, because all we do is just keep on doing little protests, fades out, little protests, fades out.
Yeah,
we know that doesn't get us
I actually want
anywhere.
to bring that up later, but before we go there, Yonathan, you grew up in the DC area. It's politics all the time out here, man. You think that has affected how you see the Black Lives Matters movement, or what Black Lives Matter means to you?
You mean politics? You mean what's happening in DC?
Yeah, I mean, like if New York in the 90s, everything was about rap, it's all about politics down here, right? Like that's the first thing people know about DC. Being close to it does like
definitely immersed in
desensitizes you?
protest. Like, yeah, I'm definitely like immersed in protest culture here because DC they protest nonstop in DC, so you see that there. So it's nothing new, but this is different. Like this feel like it's different from just like going out there and like been a couple protests myself, and it was just like people is more like anger, there's more like frustration, there's definitely more people. So it's good to see, like, and Black Lives Matter is this a movement I think about, like just educating people and showing people that Black lives do matter, because over the past 400, 500, I mean, you can go back throughout history, show like what Black people have gone through, and then this is just showing us that we're finally coming together. And I think there's some type of like guilt complex when it comes to people of the All Lives Matter movement, like that they're afraid that Black people empowering and like coming together will just lead to retribution. I don't know what they're thinking, why they had to have a movement like this, but I just feel like if you support Black people, you support like human rights. You have to support Black Lives Matter. So that's pretty much like my experience with it. Yeah.
Nahum, man, you went to a school, UVA, which is notorious in 2017.
JMU.
Oh, you went to JMU?
I got to JMU.
Brother went to
Yafi.
Oh, yeah, your brother went to
Still.
JMU.
Still, JMU, all white.
Oh, same thing. But basically that's what I was going to get to. Like, I went to Virginia Tech. It was basically all white. The only Black people there were athletes, to be frank.
And us.
And us, right.
Forgot about me.
Don't include us in the athletes, bro.
My man
wish
played
I was an athlete.
intramural basketball.
Still got it, coach.
No, but we're if you think of minority, we're minorities of minorities, right? Like you got the mostly whites, and then it's Asians, and then it's African Americans, right? Has that influenced, or like being in that culture? Do you see the importance of Black Lives Matters?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it just opened my eyes when seeing like JMU being like so white. I mean, I knew it was coming, and people always told me. I was like, all right, we'll see. But like actually experiencing it, like, oh wow. But then again, like I try to be like the first guy. Like I try to open up doors for like other Black people to be in it. So like next year, I know. For
like,
what?
I have a quick question. Like you just said yourself, like you were surprised by how many white people are in JMU, but like, do you feel like it pushes you towards like being more active in the community and being more
for
like
sure,
trying to incline yourself more with Black people, just because you're in a way
I mean,
isolated in it?
Like
I try to reach out.
Go ahead.
I try to reach out like when people ask me questions who are like still in high school about coming to JMU. I always tell them to come to JMU so we can like bring change to it and like bring more African Americans. I know like 3 people who are coming here next year, which is not a lot still, but like this still. Yeah. And I mean, I'm trying to look negatively in it about JMU being all white. It is what it is. I mean, still trying to get lit and like have fun and
Have you guys?
try to educate people on it too. Like I have like close friends who aren't like hip to like all Black Lives Matter. So that's to my advantage. So like I'm friends with like Trump supporters and stuff. I just try to tell them what's up.
Have you guys thought about if you were to go back, possibly doing HBCU? Because I think we all in the DC area, well, who have Howard HU. It's one of the biggest. Have you guys thought about like what would your life would be if you'd done HBCU?
Definitely.
A lot of things have been changing. You've been seeing like even the athletes have been saying, more Black athletes should be going to, predominantly Black
big.
schools.
Yeah,
so yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I think it's definitely some big time, some like number one recruit for
Mickey
basketball
Williams
just signed, right? Yeah. Oh, he did?
But he was no. He didn't sign. He made a long post saying like we should all consider HBCUs.
Yeah, I saw that. But somebody just signed. I think.
I hope he
like,
feels
a
the
day or
same
two
way in
ago.
a couple years.
It's
because
hard
those
to.
big schools would be like enticing, like especially if you're like a top prospect like him.
I mean, enticing for what though? Like, because someone of like his talent, he's going to the NBA. So now it's just like, and enticing as far as they're not going to pay him, really, right?
I think it's enticing
under
in
the
terms.
table.
Well, no, I think they did open up. I don't want to like change the stuff, but I think NCAA did like.
It's only in California.
It's only in California,
but they get paid. Like we all know they get paid.
Under the table.
I saw Gilbert Arenas saying like, "Of course I got paid." What was he in like Arizona?
Yeah.
Oh,
But like with HBCUs, if Mickey Williams, like a pair of like African American athletes are coming to HBCUs, that would bring so much more money into colleges.
Yeah.
It's gonna be crazy. And like
For sure.
I heard the
That's something they're
Netflix down
struggling
there
with too.
donating.
Finances, like financially, I know a lot of HBCUs are struggling right now.
It's just really hard because then you got like, if I was him, that'd be a hard decision if I got, Coach K hitting me up like, hey, trying to ball, But yeah, that was a good topic. Good question. Good question.
So my next question, I'll go back to Mahad. Canadians are known for being the nice people, right? They'll let you. So do you feel the police are the same way? Have you had encounters with police up there? But the general question is, how has police and brutality impacted you?
All right, so I'll answer the first one. Man, I feel like they're about the same. They have the whole thing of, oh, we're nicer, and they'll play it. But like even in the South, like when you go in like the South in the States, people are nice to each other.
True.
Certain people are nice to each other, but like, but going back what was the second part of your question?
Basically, how has police and brutality impacted you? And if it hasn't, like, what has impacted you the most?
Personally, I've never been like physically assaulted by a police officer, but I've been harassed a lot. Like growing up, I've been harassed many times by the cops, and it sucks. And actually, the first time I might have been like 12. I was coming back from a funny story, Yonathan. I was coming back from your house. Legit, my mom. I just got one of those little free flip phones. My mom hits me up like, "Oh, it's getting late. Come back home." I'm like, all right, bet. Literally, put my hoodie on. It was cold outside. Booked it back home. I get stopped by a cop. He puts his sirens on, stops me, and then just like makes me wait for like a good, I want to say 5 to 7 minutes. And then he comes out the car finally, and I'm like, what's the problem? He's like, wait 1 minute. And he pulls out this little notepad. What's your name? I'm like, Mahad Ali. What's your date of birth? And just asking me all these questions. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I'll let you know soon. He's like, where do you work? I'm like, I'm 12. He's like, that's not what I asked you.
Are you serious?
I swear to God, he's like, that's not what I asked you. Where do you work? I was like, I said something slick like, oh, my parents said my job is going to school.
That's funny because something similar happened to me like in the neighborhood too. Like I was coming back from like playing outside, and then like, a cop stopped me and was like, just like asked me a bunch of questions, and I start crying eventually because I was just like scared at a certain point. You know what I'm saying? But like,
it's probably because
where you going?
Y'all both fit the description.
Bro, no, 1,000% I fit the
old,
description. Finally, when he said, when I asked him, why did you stop me? He was like, someone just robbed the Starbucks and blah, blah, blah. And he didn't say fit the description, but he said, that's why I stopped you. So obviously I fit the description. I'm 12 years old, man. I ain't robbing no
12 years
Starbucks.
old.
12
That
years
makes
old
no
running
sense.
home. My mom called me, and like I went home. Obviously, I didn't tell her because I don't want her to be like, "Don't go outside." But ever since then, I had so many like just annoying interactions with them. Thankfully, nothing like physically hurting, but like even being followed in my car, like
Yeah.
it's.
Just little things like
Oh,
that. Like even
hell
though
yeah.
if you're not been physically
I remember
assaulted, it still
one
like
time,
hurts, you know?
bro. One time I got out of my car because homeboy was following me all the way from Duke Street. No one knows where Duke Street is, but driving all the way back home, he's following me the entire time. When I got home and parked, and I still saw him there, I got out the car and just put my hands up, like, "Yo, what's up?" And then he just drives off. Like, what are you gonna do, really? But now, like after all this shit, I'm like, damn, he could have done more.
That's crazy.
How about you, Lincoln? Growing up in New York, we already talked about that stop and frisk. Have they come up on you and stopped you and frisked you?
Actually, stop and frisk, no, but I do know. You've seen it all the time. I saw it not too long ago, as a matter of fact, in the Bronx when I went to go visit my grandmother a couple years back. Just first of all, undercover police, undercover NYPD is the most obvious thing to point out. So, but you always see them, around the parks, around the basketball courts, and around the corners, where black people usually gather up, and they just sometimes will just come out there and just start asking questions, just trying to bug you, just trying to stare at you, just trying to start stuff. Me personally, I want to say about the age of maybe like 19, 20. I think I told Jan a while ago. I actually, with one of my best friends at the time, considered but joined the police department. This was in Manassas, and my whole thing was, I've been around so many backups. You see it all the time. I wanted to be, one of the people that actually makes a change. And for me, it's my final, deciding factor came down to the whole way they do their training. I remember Mahad, you brought that before. And that's just something that, I just wasn't comfortable with. It just wasn't for me. On the other hand, the guy that I was with, he's a cop right now in Fairfax County. He's one of the good cops. He's, doing his thing. He speaks out, everything. But yeah, I've definitely, I don't know too many, unfortunately, don't know too many brothers and sisters that really haven't witnessed it, haven't seen it. And like you said, also, like you didn't tell, your mom or your parents when you got back. That's the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that Black people, we go through this stuff all the time. We always see stuff. We can smell it. There's a stink. There's a stench to it. Mm-hmm. We don't always mention it because we don't want to constantly come off and seem like, hey, this is happening this time. This is happening this time. Because by then it just gets wiped out. People will really stop paying attention.
Yeah.
How about you? How about you, Nahum?
Any bad experiences with cops? I mean, I've been pulled over with my friends before, and one of my friends had some weed on him, and he got a ticket. I didn't get anything, and they were kind of rude, but like I kind of brushed it off. But thankfully, no
Like
no
just
bad
even like
experiences.
to every day, like Lincoln was saying, like there's little things that you deal with, like hostilities.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, I've been followed by cops before.
Oh, really?
I know we all do the thing where you drive by a cop, you freeze, right? You don't look at it.
You look straight forward.
Straightforward.
So we're taught,
That's the biggest thing. They said that, when white people get pulled over, their worst thing is, I might get a ticket. When a brother gets pulled over, he's seriously like, all right, this is here, no sudden movements, because we see it all the time. This could be the last thing I do. So yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, just been followed a couple of times. And like, when that happens, I do like trying to like follow each rule and stuff like that. But another thing is, I don't understand undercover cops. Like, what's the point of undercover cops? Like, cops are to protect us, not like catch us slipping.
With a backwards fitted, a big old bulletproof vest under their shirt,
like,
stepping out.
The cops are
military type boots.
Technically, they're supposed to be there to protect us, but like they also have like quotas they have to reach, for when it comes to like tickets, pulling people over. They have to reach a quota every week. So I think even that is corrupt in itself. Like to put a quota on police to like reach a certain amount of tickets inclines them to like actually pull over people they think are committing crimes or
You know, actually, speaking of that quota, like someone that I know who's a cop told me that that's fake. But he also did tell me one thing. He said, the more you do, the more you get fed. Like the more that, like they literally compete with one another to see who can get the most like little drug busts and stuff like that. Who can get the most? Who wrote the most tickets this week? So it's a competition. So even if that quota, I don't know if it exists or not, but everyone talks about it. But even if that doesn't exist, these guys are in competition with one another, trying to be like, oh, I want to be at the next level. I want to like stack up my resume. This is a resume for them. I have this many drug busts. I have this many arrests. I have this many blah, blah, blah. So
Definitely. We've all seen like that cop that will pull up behind you, read your tags, and then if you can't find nothing, he's almost pissed that he's got to go home and try to find somebody else. And do we know this person?
Oh yeah, we know this person. Shall remain nameless, but we know this person.
I mean,
is he Alexandria?
It's all starts from, you know, the system, right?
Yeah.
To me, the biggest thing that I look at is the war on drugs, right? That started in Reagan era. You find somebody with like an ounce of weed, they go in for 10 years of jail. But nowadays, when it's, and you know, it got worse with crack, and then nowadays of meth. Meth isn't a black drug, right? So when they find the white people with meth, it's not like they're going to jail. They're going to
health
rehab.
problem. It's a health problem.
Rehab. So
they really changed the.
I agree. It is a health problem, but like you still got people.
That's what they're saying. They're trying to push it as a health problem when before it was a criminal issue.
Right.
Yeah.
And you got people in jail, like rotting away because, you know, they had an addiction and they're thought of as criminals instead.
You know how easy it is to find those over-the-counter prescription pills at the, you know, middle class, you know, work from, you know. We all know how
it's so
easy
ironic,
it is to
like
find
how, like those type of like, you know, now they're saying it's an opium addiction problem going on in the country, which is specifically hurting the white population, and now it's a big health issue, and they're trying to really educate people differently now. But like, you know, it's why couldn't you do that 20, 30 years ago instead of imprisoning black men and, you know, Hispanic men and, you know, taking them away from the communities. So you see like the hypocrisy, and that's the stuff we're talking about when people get angry like nowadays, because it's like things like that, like that's wrong with the country, you know.
Nah, it's crazy too, like as far as just weed. Like I remember one time my cousin had to go to court for something, so I went with him, and before his time was up, before his time, there was this other guy who was caught with like not even selling marijuana. He was just caught with marijuana like I think 3 times, and the judge was so angry and said, "This is your 3rd time. Are you serious? Are you serious? You're going in for 3 months or something like that, right?" And just think about all the people that we know who that's happened to, right? Today, just walking home, I saw literally like so many people smoking. I just saw an old woman in a wheelchair, pushing a wheelchair, smoking.
Glaucoma.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
No, bro. It's not even like you don't have to have any condition. It's just like anyone can do it.
Yeah. So you know the weed story, my weed story, right? Mahad. I'm not gonna go too much detail, but supposedly my roommate was allegedly selling weed, right? Mm-hmm. And the police got a warrant, and they actually came into our house, like bangs on the door. Nobody came because we weren't paying attention to the front door, but they like banged in the door, and I had a gun stuck to my face, and like 4 or 5 cops stormed our house just for alleged weed selling. And this is not even like
crazy.
10 or 15 years. This is literally like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And it's more embarrassing on my end, and it's not tonight's not the night to talk about it. But
I mean, everything came out okay, but like at the end of the day, that should never happen.
Yeah.
But like another thing we could talk about too is like, there's definitely an issue of police brutality, but we can also speak to, you know, everyday issues we deal with as black men, you know, like whether it's like walking to a convenience store and, you know, being like mean mugged by the person over the counter, or just being in a neighborhood like you're uncomfortable like with majority white people and how they treat you and what they say to you, and or life in a majority white university. Like I can speak to that too. Like it's it's like feeling like you're isolated in a way if you don't like see people your same color, and you see like how that's a lot of the young black population feels that way too. It's those little things that you can't really explain to people who don't like have the same experience as you as a black man, as black woman, or a person of color.
Very true.
So,
I've had a similar thing coming home from like a flag football game, and I had two friends with me. One of them was white, and the other one was Hispanic. He was a light-skinned Hispanic. Like you can, just looking at him, you would assume that he was white too. And I had mentioned, as soon as we walked in to 7-Eleven, picking up some Gatorades, that the guy, from the register was kind of, following me around. He just looked over, was like, nah, I don't think so. I said, all right, we're going to play a little game. And I went over there, like all the way to the other side by the Slurpees. I got money on me. I got nothing, I don't steal. So I go over here, I turn around, and literally watching the guy duck down under. And the whole time, my friend Cameron sees it, and then he's behind the guy like, wow. He was in shock because, this is something that he doesn't notice. He doesn't go through. And he's over there like picking up stuff and act like he's putting it in his shirt. And, and it's like, come on.
It's just like the, what's it called movie? Not Menace to Society. What's the Wayans Brothers movie? The spoof?
How to be
a menace.
Menace to South Central.
Yeah. Basically the Asian lady's watching him, and then the white guy is going there stealing everything. She steals the money out of the counter. Like, oh,
exactly.
You forgot $1.
Exactly.
Yeah, bro.
And a lot of races, I believe this wholeheartedly. I truly believe that most races don't even know that they're doing racist stuff. Like, like the lady that thinks that, she's not racist, but, when you walk by her, she just put a person on the other side or something,
Yeah, how many times, like, I hate that feeling. Like, have you ever been walking behind someone, like a white lady, and, like, it's maybe a little dark, and you want to walk faster so you can get by her because you're scared of her.
Yeah.
Because she's looking back at you
how she's going to come off. Yeah.
She's looking back all tense and stuff. I'm trying to get by you. I'm not speeding up just to do anything. I'm just trying to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, those type of feelings, like, it's hard to explain, but, like,
Yeah.
I've been on an elevator, and the elevator opened up, and a lady was about to walk on, looked up and saw me, and was like, oh, no, I think I'm still waiting for someone. And I'm just like,
wow.
Just the door just closed, and like, you can kiss my ass. Like, like, I know you. Like, get out of here.
All right. I got another, I guess, a little deep. So to me, the question I'm about to ask now is a little harder to answer personally. But basically, the George Floyd case, you had 4 cops. One of them was actually murdering a man, and the other 3 were supporting. Right? They were holding his legs or whatever. One of them was actually a rookie cop, right? Thomas Lane. He was on his legs, and he asked Chauvin, "Hey, can we turn him over?" And Chauvin told him no. Like, do you feel that? Like, I'm just trying to picture myself being a rookie cop, asking my superior officer, "Can I roll him over? It doesn't really seem like he's breathing." How do you think we as a society should look at him, and what kind of sentencing should he actually get? That's up for anybody.
I'll go first. That's a really, really good question. And I didn't even know up until you just said it just now that he asked, if we can roll him over. That definitely, because I remember we brought it up really quick when you had mentioned it maybe like a couple of days ago.
Right. And
I was just like, hey, he's a cop. He knew his job, throw him in jail for as long as the other ones. But knowing that, he clearly, if that's true, I got to, do my own research, but he clearly knew that there was a problem and he tried to address it. And I mean, once your supervisor says no, I really don't know. I don't know the procedure after that. Like, you're supposed to take, if you feel like, somebody's life might be in risk. So that's a tough one. I think that definitely should come into consideration though, when going through his sentencing or whatever. So. Because, it should definitely be lessened compared to everyone else that's been there for a decent amount of time.
Nahum, any thoughts?
I think it should be taken into account, but he should still go through like all the trial, like Lekan said, like all the through processing, and like I don't know, to be honest.
That's a tough one.
Tough question.
Yeah. I think you want to be empathetic to his plight because you understand someone that's like been in a position where a supervisor has told you something and you think it's wrong. Like, but like if we like, let's imagine like they're pilots, right? If the pilot is like pushing down the plane and trying to crash the whole plane, everybody in it, and he's like, should I bring the plane back up, or do you? He's like, nah, man, we're not doing that. And you're just gonna let it happen. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? This is
But
in
it's also
hindsight,
it's also
obviously,
like
but
people always defer to their superiors because, say two guys are doing surgery, one guy's a new surgeon, first day, actually kind of doing surgery, and then this other surgeon has been working for 20 years, knows what he's doing, knows where everything is, and the new guy's like, I don't know if you should be doing this, but it's such a hard thing to tell a person after they've been doing it for so long and
Yeah.
they're like a professional, low key the person teaching you. And as far as cops, man, they have such a gang mentality where right now, say if he would have told him to get off of him, and the guy would have refused because he's a senior officer, right?
Mhm.
And he would have pushed him off of him. There wouldn't have been a death, which is great, but this guy would have definitely got reprimanded, definitely might have lost his job. Other things would have happened to him. That's what he's thinking to himself. So
But
not,
look
not
at
that
it.
I'm like pushing for nothing to happen to him. Obviously, like he was really complicit.
But look at it this way: he's 3 days on the job, so he has all the
Wow.
trainings, right? He has that fresh in his mind, right?
Their
So
training is BS.
You-
Was their training ever part of was their training ever like, if you see an officer doing this, you should tell the officer don't do this? I don't think that's ever been part of their training. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't know.
I don't know, but like you said though, with the training, you know, yeah, there's like, first of all, I don't think I agree with you, Mahad, that you know they definitely have to do something with the training because I saw like something that said, you know, hairdressers go through more hours in training
It's such
than
a
police
short.
officers or something.
Barbers, everybody does.
Yeah, and also if I just think that it's so hard because yeah, you know, you could be done with the police academy, but that doesn't mean that you automatically know. Just playing devil's advocate, that doesn't mean that okay, you're ready to take on any challenges day one right out the gate. You know,
yeah, because
at
police.
the same time, okay, yeah,
You know, I was speaking to what you say, like a police job is very delicate. Like you're gonna maybe deal with someone that's like a domestic issue, or you could like be in a firefight. You could be in any situation at any time. So to have this low amount of training and then put the people out there with very limited, you know, life experience to deal with these situations. I don't see how like that's like beneficial to anyone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, a similar thing. Guy who was at the Wendy's, who was drunk in line, who got killed. One of the cops actually chased him and shot him down, but the other one was still on the ground. But they're both being charged. I don't know the situation there, but like I can kind of, I understand they made the situation worse than it had to be.
Mm-hmm.
But for the guy who was not even shooting, who you know, who was out, I feel empathy, but at the end of the day, it goes back to what a lot of people told me. You have to have common sense, right? Right.
Yeah.
If you're not using your common sense as a cop, which you need more than anything, you have to face the consequences.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, yeah, exactly. You knew the deal going in. I mean,
Right.
Just more training. Like, I don't understand like
But
it's so quick.
Not making fun of cops, but like a cop's common sense is a little different to me. These guys' common sense is they look at one of us and just say, this guy looks suspicious.
I mean,
he's
like the system is broken.
Yeah,
Like the very like beginning of the system was created to like, you know, and put black people in prisons and to create like a workforce. So if something is like rotten from the beginning, you got to like upend it and start over. You know, at this point.
Also, Yonathan, I don't mean to like paint with the same brush. I'm sure there's a cop. There's cops, not a cop, but like there's cops somewhere like in the States who, if they were in that situation, definitely would have stepped in. But there's not enough, and it's not enough of that happening.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good segue. Speaking of the system, one of the ways people have talked about breaking the system is by, you know, defunding the police. And next to Black Lives Matters in DC, next on the Black Lives Avenue now is defund the police. So it's not a, it's easy thing to say, but harder to realize. So I guess what I'm asking y'all is, what does defund the police mean, and should we defund the police?
I think we should definitely defund the police. Or at least reallocate the funds. Like I was reading something about California, and apparently they give like, I don't know if it's right, but like $1 billion to the police, and like only a couple hundred million to, or a smaller number amount to educational systems. So they should definitely like switch that around. And also, I'm kind of going off topic, but like they should like have another like group to handle different things. Because like with every single event, we call the police. So like if there's a thing at school, we call the police. If there's I was watching this Andrew Schultz thing, and he was saying like every small problem, like it's the police called. I think we should have like a different group who we call when something's going on, like something small. So like it can like
domestic issues, something
Yeah.
non-violent. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
But
No,
what,
But yeah,
what, kind
defund
of,
the
what kind of authority would those people have, right? Like if it's a domestic issue and you some guy is beating up a girl, right? The cops there to take that guy away, right? Would they eventually just become cops, or are you
I
talking
think-
about like psychiatrists and things like that?
for like so like for violent issues, I think it should be cops. But like for like small things, like I don't know,
So
maybe
like
traffic.
It's.
you're
I was gonna
basically
say.
saying,
Okay, go ahead.
like the issue that happened in Atlanta for somebody falling asleep in their car in a drive-through.
Yeah, that should be somebody else, like it's a normal, like kind of civilian who's like who has to protect the area, like those community people who comes to like the drive-through and says, "Yo, are you good?" Instead of like
The British people do the same thing. They like cops don't carry around guns, you know, which they carry pepper spray, and they
Bro,
learn how to de-escalate situations.
that was a culture shock for me when I went to London and I saw the cops and they had no guns or whatever. I was like, "Wow, how you?"
So if you take away guns, they have to force themselves to de-escalate the situation. Without
Yeah, they're not gonna move and behave the same way that they would with guns. Like,
Yeah.
And in special situations where they need weapons, they have special SWAT teams that come in and deal with
Yeah.
it. Like from what I know. Like, but yeah, I think
like
we should
right now,
definitely.
if I had a case where my child was missing, right, and it's just my child's missing, I can't find them. I lost them somewhere in the playground. And they just wandered off. I don't need a person with guns coming in. All right, I definitely don't need that. There's a situation that involves violence and something to escalate, and when that situation presents itself, that's when we call those people. But every single situation, we don't need somebody who's carrying a weapon, and just especially someone who has a mightier than thou personality and persona.
I think it's a
I
good
like
example.
that. I definitely agree. But just to play devil's advocate, what if, what about, because, there will be situations, like if that were to happen, situations where it's like, all right, it doesn't seem like it's, a police situation just yet, but it could elevate to that. And then by then, what do you got to do? You got to call them then and then wait for that's more time. And, just playing devil's advocate there is, like you said earlier with the domestic situation, if they come there, they're about to pull up and they hear.
They can be on standby. They can be on standby somewhere. It's not like they have
That's
to come
good,
from
yeah.
all the way from the station. They can just
Like it
be
goes to
there.
them, and then like the police get like a little heads up, like, "Hey, this is going on over here."
Yeah.
This is exactly what should be happening. Like put our minds together to create a new. That's why I'm agreeing. We should defund the police, but we should also put our minds to create a replacement that's like adequate, that can like is fair and is able to like, really like people that are in the community should police people that are in their communities. That's what I feel like. You know what I'm saying? If you don't live in the community you're policing, then that's kind of you're kind of a hypocrite. Like you're outside and you're trying to police people you don't even know, and that's what caused situations like this. Because a lot of police like don't live in the same communities that they police in. That's another issue too.
And we're talking about that last podcast.
So the I forget her name, the senator from New York, Ortez. So they asked her if they should defund the police, and she said yes. And she's like, if you go look in suburban communities, you don't see the police as the highest paid police forces. Usually most of the money goes to schools and things for social development, so you don't need the police. So if you do defund the police, I think you can do it lightly. Like, because I was watching another video, and it was the mayor of Minneapolis, right? And he came to their protest. This is
Yeah, I
based
saw that
off.
too.
Yeah, this is based off what I was talking to the people on the streets, and they literally wanted yes or no, right?
Yeah.
And if he said no, they yelled at him to leave. Go home, Jacob. Go home is what they were yelling at him.
Yeah. It was kind of eerie
so.
though. It kind of reminded me of a scene from like, I don't know if you guys watch Game of Thrones. When,
Yeah.
what's the queen? She was like walking on the
Oh yeah.
shame.
Oh,
It's
through
kinda
the street. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I was kind of like thrown off a little bit about how they were doing it. Yeah, I understand you might disagree with them, but like this,
You
I
need
don't know.
dialogue.
You need
Yeah.
dialogue. I feel like maybe creating like a city council meeting and like everyone coming together and discussing it would have been better than just like people outside just giving him
I agree.
giving him yes or no. It's like under that pressure, like, you know, it doesn't really create much dialogue. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I understand. I'm with the defunding the police, definitely. Like, you know, and we will have to probably for example, 9/11, they created a department, Homeland Security, in response. Like, we need to create a department in response to this. Like, we need to create a department that is like solely
Same thing.
like
Yeah.
destroyed by the CIA and like.
Mhm.
It was
So speaking of that, I guess what's next, fellas? You know, we've been marching, we've been yelling. I don't see things changing. What's the name got killed in Atlanta? You got brothers out here. I've never heard of a black guy hanging himself, but you hear like.
You know what's I almost said funny, but it's not. It's just like, it's crazy. You would expect after all this, people, cops and everyone, they would kind of be like, okay, let's calm the heck down. Let's de-escalate this. Let's chill. Because they see everything that's happening, but I think the opposite's happening. They're getting nervous, if anything. They're looking more on TV and just getting scared for themselves and like, oh my God, what's happening? What's happening?
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
becoming
I feel
more
like
of a us versus you.
Yeah.
More us versus you. It's like they're getting more insulated. They're getting more into themselves, you know, because if you're pushing someone back, they're just gonna like, you know, be more. They're not really open to dialogue, you know. That's why I feel like there needs to be like a whole overhaul. I think that's the next step. We need to create laws to overhaul the whole system and create something new. Like, we have to see real practical change. I don't know how it's gonna happen. I don't have the answers, but like
our president, except for Mahad, you know, signed a executive order yesterday saying some reform. I mean, it's not what we were asking for, but it's, you know, it's something. It asks for better monitoring via a database and things like that. But like, it's not going to do enough to quench people's thirst. I guess I just don't know where we go next.
And I honestly don't trust him in really enforcing it. You know, he can sign a little thing, but he doesn't really care about it. He's worried about his own thing, man.
I think we should.
I'm hopeful though. I'm hopeful. You know,
I think
hopeful, but I don't think we're gonna. You know, Trump is gonna definitely not give us any
police
hope or any
places.
help.
All right, more police places, like banning chokeholds, probably. And
that's just like a symptom, though.
It's gonna take so long. So like, I think we should. It's gonna be a process. Probably like maybe.
I feel like banning chokeholds was a good step, but like
more. It should be more, obviously. Yeah.
It should be more. I feel like that's just a symptom. Like, just 2016 when we went through the same movement, Black Lives Matter movement, and in response we got more cameras on police, but they found a loophole behind that. You know what I'm saying? Like, just telling people.
I don't know.
Police to stop.
It is not a loophole. They're just killing people on camera now.
Yeah. Oh no, but some of them just happen to drop the camera or.
That should be banned. You know, like if you turn off your body cam by accident,
if it goes off,
that's not.
Yeah,
that should not be.
Yeah, what I'm saying is those are just symptoms of this a bigger problem. Like, at the end of the day, the system is corrupt. So if you're just like trying to find little things like, oh no, not little things, but like if you're just telling people, you know, wear cameras, or like you can't choke someone to death, like they can't choke someone to death, they'll figure some other way to kill a black person. Like, you know, that's what I'm saying. Like, we got to.
It's in the training. It's the mentality of it.
Yeah.
I mean, change doesn't happen overnight. I understand that, but it's only been 50 years since Jim Crow days, since the.
But even that though,
That's
like
long enough, man.
that was like what
I don't know, man.
1968. Did they pass the civil rights law in 1968? Right? Or
68.
69?
Yeah.
68. And in response, that was a good move. But like, they just covered that up with something different. Like, the war on drugs was like another way of like, you know, putting black people in prisons and like oppressing them and making them the lower class. So it's like I feel like they always figure out a way to like. You know,
yeah, especially when it comes to the black community, because, you know, we've all heard about, you know, Holocaust, you know, survivors and people that had to deal with that way back. The government hooked them up like that, you know, once they made a big enough deal about it. And then you see stuff now, and it's just like it's not the same treatment for us at all.
When they do that too, like it's two different situations. Yes, they went through atrocities, but it's two different situations. It's more complex than that.
They get out like, still today. They still get treated like regular white citizen. We are still treated like shit. You know,
so you took Lincoln, people from their country. Like, it's different.
You said Lincoln. It's been long enough. I don't think it actually. Unfortunately, I don't think it actually has. I say that because it was 200 years of slavery. You know, or 200. I know more. 400 years. Sorry, 400. It was a long damn time, right? And the Holocaust was 10 years in the 40s, right? There are kids of Holocaust survivors that never had to feel what their parents felt, or even close. But there are still kids of slaves out there, who had to feel the Jim Crows, had to feel the segregation. So until
generational,
and until the kid, and then that means there was kids of slave owners who were doing the segregation, doing the policing the Jim Crow laws. So until you change their mindset, or their mindset is gone, I don't think you'll ever see a change.
And let's remember, it didn't stop with Jim Crow too. It continued on with the crack epidemic and the drug war on drugs and the imprisonment. Like, it never stopped. It's still going on today with gentrification. Like, it's not like people trying to say, oh, slavery is 400 years ago, but it's continuous like oppression.
Slavery,
all these years, you know what I'm saying?
Slavery became the prison industrial complex, right?
Yeah.
Trying to get. If you look at the Juneteenth, the 13th Amendment, right, to free slaves, it says you are a free slave unless you have been sent to jail.
Mm-hmm.
Then you are a slave.
That slight loophole.
Right. So now, what are the jails full of? Black people, minorities. Slavery still going on.
Disproportionately.
Right. But anyways, that being said, we got to be hopeful, right? We got to push for change. We got to vote for the right people to help push the change.
I'm proud of everybody that's going out and like protesting, and like it makes me feel good to be like part of this generation. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it definitely feels good to go out there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just don't want. When I'm talking about like the time, it's, you know, no one should have to live the majority of their life having to deal with it like this.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if it lasts for a week, it's too long. You know, it just should never have happened. It shouldn't be like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let's keep it a little light, fellas.
Want me to get naked?
Not that light.
just give me a little signal.
It might go viral. What's going on?
Might make it a little.
When I give you this, that's the signal.
That's right there. I'm with it.
Nah, but like, you know, this is not the only thing going on. We got the Rona out there, right?
Oh, that's still going on. Right.
Yeah.
Forget about Corona, bro. Like, that shit's still going on.
Yeah, yo, it's just getting worse, man.
Yeah, like, you know, all the states that are opening up are Mahad out here showing his.
Forgot about police brutality. We still have a pandemic going on. Like,
I forgot about Corona for a little bit. So thanks for
no lie, same man.
But like,
he said, y'all spit when y'all talk. I gotta put this on.
But like, what have you guys been doing to, like, you know, stay positive?
Yes, man.
Yeah, yeah. This has been a good thing. Jan, you came to me with this about it. Well, I guess 2-part. Without almost passed out, yo.
Hey.
For
That
real.
sun came out and
Oh, it was hot today.
dog, I almost
Yeah, it
melted
was.
right into the tub, right into the blacktop. But yeah, definitely just. I know for me, this has definitely been keeping me really busy. I've been really excited about being a part of this. Been wanting to do it for a long time. So
Definitely.
Yep.
Just
What about
How
you,
about you,
Mahad?
I mean,
No.
Canada.
school
Doing
is
in
open.
Canada.
So school just ended, so I mean, just working out
How you guys been doing school? Online?
online, bro.
Yeah. I don't know. I could have done that.
It's weird, but
I want to be able to. Yeah,
it's really weird.
Makes me lazy, to be honest. Online school. I don't know if I can do that
Yeah.
too much.
yeah. Just too comfortable in my own little.
How
I don't
about
really
you?
feel like
I live with
It's weird.
some of my friends who are in the program, so that's the only thing that kind of makes me feel like I'm still in school.
That means he's cheating off their exams and all that. Just throwing that in there. Right,
What?
Halifax, be aware.
We got
Hey,
some
what y'all
rats in
think
here.
about what y'all think about Kyrie and have y'all seen like the Kyrie Kendrick Perkins beef?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's
AD
so
coming.
one-sided. It's like
I don't know
Kyrie's not
because-
even responding. It's just literally Kendrick Perkins just bullying him. Kyrie hasn't responded.
That might be another day's
Hey,
Oh, you
Kendrick
want-
Perkins.
Hold that on. Hold on to
yeah,
that.
I think that might be another day's worth of
That's cool.
discussions.
All right.
I think we can go long on that one. I mean, I don't got anything else left, but I
What
just
time
want
we got in?
Nahum, how you been staying positive, man?
A lot of YouTube videos.
You gotta be
I don't know if
careful.
y'all watch. You said what?
You gotta be careful. You just go down those YouTube rat holes.
That's true.
Bro.
I mean, I've been working out at night, and then
Good.
just recently I started playing basketball a lot.
That was the fastest. Good.
Good.
Come on.
Sound like a proud father. Good.
Good
Awesome.
job.
What were you saying though recently?
I started playing basketball again, so sometimes going out.
I'll go outside and hoop again, like
Young KD.
playing actual games, but I'm kind of scared. Like
Oh yeah,
That's
I
the
want to do
only
that.
thing, man. Like I just
Okay.
don't want to be touching motherfuckers.
I've seen some
I'll
courts
take the
out there,
risk.
some people hooping out there. I don't know.
Bro, remember we were out there that
Yes,
one
you-
day and just sitting there watching those kids play?
Yeah, I wanted
Oh,
to
yeah.
jump in the game. Like I got next. But I was like, nah, I
I
can't.
felt so old just sitting there watching like some
Yeah.
high schoolers be like, yo, you's trash.
At the same time, we would have dogged them though. It was
No, we definitely would have dogged them. They were
Yeah.
There was like two of them that were pretty nice.
What was
Like
one?
the
The
short
shortest
dude.
dude on the court was the nicest there one
was
day.
nice, but
yeah.
he was
He was
nice
decent. He was all right. He was all right. But everybody else, Oak Hill.
Wait,
Nah,
It
you
was
gotta return
Oak
that to
Hill?
Walmart. No, he had an Oak Hill shirt. And
Oh,
he was
that's what I was
tall.
saying.
He
I was
looked like a
He played
baller.
for
and-
Oak Hill. I'm like, damn, but he was.
yeah.
That's
Got
it's a good way to fool
bamboozled.
people. You wear like an Oak Hill basketball shirt. Everybody assumes you're nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Quavo was the worst one out there, man.
Nah, Quavo was decent. Quavo.
Nah,
Quavo.
Quavo had no handles.
No
Yeah.
handles. He passes you. He passed them the ball only when they were covered. When they're wide open, yo, hey, under the rim,
Yeah.
nothing. As soon as they
And-
triple team, here you go.
And Killer Mike was a little. He had a little footwork. Killer Mike.
Oh yeah, the old head, the big
Get
dude.
these guys' names.
Holy, I forgot
Hey,
about
bro,
that.
Bro.
Killer Mike gotta be our new leader for the revolution, bro. Like, I
Oh,
respect
yeah.
everything Killer Mike says, man. Like everything he can speak to like both parties. I feel like he's the truth for sure. Killer Mike
Y'all
does.
hear what
I'll give
Candace
him that.
Owens said?
Nah, I don't want to hear that name.
You just drain my life energy. Just like
For those, look her up. But I think the better thing to look up is 846 by Dave Chappelle, man.
Oh, yeah.
that was dope.
That was good.
Y'all watch
That
that?
was so
Yeah,
I didn't watch
I
it.
saw it like a
Bro,
week ago.
846 Dave
You gotta
Chappelle.
watch it.
No,
It's
you
on
gotta
YouTube.
watch it.
I heard it wasn't that good though.
Bro,
I heard
it was
it-
awesome. Don't listen
It's
to
dope.
man,
Don't
listen to us.
Watch your mouth, my son.
All right,
dope,
I heard
bro.
it, I heard it wasn't as comedic as Chappelle.
It's not don't expect like laughs.
Don't expect
I mean,
the
there's
Dave
a few
Chappelle
laughs,
show.
but like
Don't expect the Chappelle show, man.
I heard-
it's
I heard
this
him
man's
say
so
her
good at
pers-
telling stories. It's basically he just spits a narrative
Yeah, it just keeps it real.
Throw
He
some
spit
jokes in
facts.
there,
He spit
too.
facts. Like people were trying to say, why didn't Dave Chappelle speak? I'm like, Dave Chappelle been speaking up his whole career about this. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
so it's like,
I like what he said. I'm
Go.
I'm cooling in the back. Y'all got it. I'm cooling in the back.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I definitely have more respect. I've always liked him, but after once he came back, all those years ago and explained everything, I actually opened your
Yeah,
eyes up to
respect,
this
yeah.
guy. He's smart. He knows what he's doing. He knows
You know what's
what he's
funny?
talking about.
My sister actually met Dave Chappelle.
Oh,
Kind
really?
of.
How?
Word?
Kind of.
Yeah.
What does
So
that
what
mean?
happened was we were in Virginia Beach, right? And it was like we go to family vacations like every year. It was like when I was a kid, and we were in this hotel, and I was upstairs, and my sister was coming upstairs with my mom, and she bumped into Dave Chappelle in the lobby, and then she fell down, and Dave Chappelle helped her up, and he said, "Oh, I'm sorry," and she looked up. It was Dave Chappelle. Oh, wow. I'm
sure
like,
it's-
but
You
yeah,
sure it's
you
Dave
want a picture?
Chappelle?
She said, "No, I'm okay. I'm okay."
You
I'm
know
like, bro,
that
you should have got a picture.
There's
Huh?
the guy that looks like Dave Chappelle. You
Yeah.
sure it wasn't him? Yeah, I
She
know.
told me it was Dave Chappelle. She could have been
Nah.
lying all these years, but I've been
They
believing
actually
her.
bumped into each other, like she fell, like hard bump.
I think
Yeah.
that mom
Wow.
might have been trying to get a little chain. Just bumped into him.
Yeah. My neck hurts.
Broke my leg.
I need a brace now.
That's what I would have done.
I
My
heard
neck
that-
and my back.
that the next 40 million.
Right. This is actually funny because this is around the time. I think it was after the Dave Chappelle show, like when people didn't know what Chappelle was at and stuff like that. So it was more rare to see him. It was
really?
kind of, yeah.
This is the one he went to Africa. The Africa
It
Dave
was
Chappelle.
like after that. It was like the period where like,
He just disappeared.
yeah, he was like Ohio and shit, I guess.
And also, Nahum, if you haven't heard it, I recommend listening to the new J. Cole song, "Snow on the
Oh yeah.
Bluff."
Bro, I haven't heard that, but I've
I
been
heard
hearing
it
all
all.
this like
I didn't
No
hear
name.
that
what's
either.
going on with
Oh.
no name and stuff.
People were canceling
Have
him,
y'all
but like
heard
I
it?
It's
don't understand
conspiracy, but like what he says is like deep, man. Deep.
I read some of the lyrics. Like he was talking about like, I really don't know much about No Name, but like apparently he was like subliminally talking about her or something.
Oh, that's what people are saying. His response was, "You guys can assume, I'm talking about, but for the person who I'm actually talking to, so on and so forth." But he actually responded and said some stuff. Recommend
Okay.
looking it up.
Cool.
It's
He
like
was lucky getting dragged though on it on social media for it.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. I don't really know
Open
much
up your
about what's
third
going
eye.
on.
Really, yeah.
Yeah,
Open your mind up a little bit to really take it in.
it's
Yeah.
good. We got to have conversations within the community as long as there's no like division. It's cool to
Yeah.
have like some arguments going on.
Be willing to listen. As long as you
Yeah,
listen,
be willing to
Yeah.
Definitely.
I feel like I sound different. You know what I mean?
all right, fellas. That was all the questions I had. Thanks for listening or answering. Actually, if you go to our IG page, you can go see the video of the recording of the people.
Yeah, it's a really good video. Once
Definitely
again,
check that
you did your thing on that. I was
Yeah,
really
that-
surprised.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
There's some passionate people out there, man.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Keep the
It's
passion
great.
going.
Exactly.
Love.
Exactly.
A1.
All right.
Shit.
Now, did we want to just dive into the Kendrick Perkins little discussion?
We can. I mean,
I don't think you're trying to talk about it. He was excited when I brought it up. He was like, right.
Before we do that, do we even explain to the listeners what Juneteenth actually is?
Oh, we didn't. True.
Oh wow.
We should.
You have to explain that?
Well, so I think
Facts.
we got to hear.
The official.
Do your Googles, bro. Yeah, just do your Googles. You
For
should know what
those-
Juneteenth is.
For those who don't, it's the day the last slaves were freed in Texas.
Texas.
The
Yes.
state that tried to become part of Mexico. It's the last day they were freed, and
Texas was some hoes for that. Like, oh, now we're gonna join Mexico. We're gonna join Mexico now. Like, bro, relax.
June 19th. It was 1865, right?
yeah.
All right,
So.
cool. Yeah, man.
but
So
now
that's it.
people are actually recognizing it as a holiday. I know down in Virginia, the governor said it's a paid holiday.
Random
Cool.
question though. Do you think we give Abraham Lincoln a little too much credit when it
Yes.
comes to like?
Oh yeah.
I feel like he gets way too much credit for
What?
doing
Uh,
something.
Hold on.
I think low-key, this was by Abraham Lincoln. That was more of a political move than anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he said it was for the economy.
Yeah, I know. Like when he was originally like running, people were kind of scared he was going to do that, but he had apparently no intention of actually doing it until everything hit the fan, and he's just like, all right, bet.
Yeah, he's been on
Yeah.
record multiple times, saying like black people like monkeys, less than human, all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you, but for that time, that's nothing.
Yeah,
Right.
for that time, yes. I'm talking
Yeah.
about like, do we give him a little too much respect today? Yes, he did.
I mean,
definitely,
it takes balls to do it still, right?
Yeah,
For that
absolutely,
time, it was
absolutely.
nothing. You're right, but there were still abolitionists that were fighting for. There was it was possible for a white man back then to be, fighting for the rights of.
Yeah,
He was
but
just doing it for a political move.
Yeah,
it wasn't
but
like he was an abolitionist or anything.
I agree with you. But like a white man couldn't do it as somebody who's fighting for slavery couldn't become president and do it for the nation.
At the time, right?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
The way I think about it, bro, like, and not to bring back my the artist from the art and stuff like that, separating it, but if right now, if I were to bring back Abraham Lincoln, I had the power to just bring him back to life. You think homeboy would even like talk to me? Would even acknowledge my existence? Not the fact that I'm a nobody, but the fact that like he would look at me the way that his time looked at black people. Worse, better, I don't know, but like it's just when we get into history, like, do we just let people be a part of their time and say, all right, he did a great thing for someone from his time, or do we look at it through the lens of our own time that we live in?
I'll reverse it. If we brought Martin Luther King up today and he saw some of the rap videos, would he be disappointed in us?
Oh, the Boondocks did a special on
My
that.
grandmother's disappointed
Yeah, I saw
every
that.
time she goes by MTV. Yeah, he's gonna be upset.
That's definitely something because they were trying to. Yeah, it goes into cancel culture a little bit because you got to think about like, we're looking at things through the lens of right now. So like, everything is different from which lens you look at it. If you look back then, it could have been maybe he was like ahead of the time. So I guess like I don't know.
If you're grown up thinking that black people are only good for slavery, I can understand if you came up now and you saw us doing better. Because like a lot of people told me, racism is taught, man. It's not.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know. Like when I was working at the little like elementary school or whatever, none of these kids like, whose phone is this? Oh, you can answer.
My bad. Cancel for sure.
These kids didn't like become friends with each other based off of race at all. Like I don't think anyone even really ever talked about that or noticed it. And I know when I was a kid, I never noticed that. I was just, I'm having fun. I never thought about it's like society that really teaches you it, teaches it to you. But not to get like darker again. But going back, I remember when I was this is gonna be a separate pod when we talk about like what's your first memory. That's one of my favorite questions to ask people. But I remember being 3 years old, right?
Yeah.
My mom, I was at the park with my sister, just going on the swings. This my sister was trying to slide down the slide, and this one little girl just wouldn't move. And my mom went up to the little girl's mom and was like, "Hey, can you?" So the mom, by the way, my mom is not white. The mom that she went to, right? And she was like, "Hey, can you tell your child to kind of move?" Literally said it respectfully. I was right next to her, and she was like, "She's in her country. Why don't you go back to yours?"
Yeah.
and then my mom was like, "Oh, she was born here. This is her country, and I came here, and I'm legal." So my mom just starts going off, and meanwhile I'm like, "Dang." The lady literally, I kid you not, she walks off, right? And there's a lot of people. There's so many witnesses to this. So many people. Like I want to say more than 10 other people with their children. The lady walks off. Maybe she's gone for 10 minutes, 15 minutes or something. She comes back. Out of her bra, she pulls out this big ass knife. It's like a butcher's knife probably, and starts waving it towards my mom walking. Mind you, she left her kid there too. A very irresponsible lady. But she brought out this butcher knife.
Yo, that didn't cut her up or anything?
I know.
Yo.
That might have knocked the titty off or something.
Maybe it did. Maybe this is some kind of demon. But she starts she's just walking towards my mom, right? My mom takes me, gets my sister, and runs with us, right? And I remember like looking back. I looked back at this lady waving. She was running at this time too. She was kind of fat lady, thank God.
I was about to say I can imagine a fat lady doing that.
Oh yeah.
Black white lady.
If she was any skinnier, I think she'd cut us up. But
Can you imagine if she just shaped just like
the skinny white women call the cops.
it's not like a slight towards fat people.
No,
but she was
I love fat women.
Sad. What? We all do.
He came out of left field.
we profile.
I love my BBWs, you know what I'm saying? Something juicy. Snack out.
Yo, so I still remember this lady's face. I'm running.
That's hard to forget.
It's hard to forget, bro. I'm freaking 3 years old, bro. My sister's like 5 or 6. And then when we get home, my mom, first thing she does, she doesn't call the cops. She calls my uncle. Because my dad at the time, he was in the States. And mind you, this is in Canada, right? My dad's in the States. First thing she does is call my uncle because he doesn't live too far. He runs over. He rushes over. He comes there. He's like, you guys didn't call the cops? He calls the cops. These cops come, right? They get their full report. I don't know if they're tall, honestly. I was just kidding. But I imagine like this tall lady and this tall guy who just were looking at my mom saying, do you know how she looked like? She's like, yeah, I know exactly how she looks. I know where she lives. She's like, was anyone there? Yeah, a bunch of people, and they're still there. Like, I have witnesses. They're like, oh, okay. And I'm taking all this in. I'm thinking like, because in my mind, bro, like for real, I love cops. Like, just even like playing with the little cop toys and stuff, like that was my thing. I just loved cops. I loved the sirens. So when I saw them, I was like, oh yeah, it's about to go down. I seen cops. Literally, you know, the thing she tells my mom, she's like, oh, so what I want you to do is stay home, right? There's nothing we can do about this. They actually went to go talk to the lady and they came back. She's like, she has a story. You have a story. There's nothing we can do about it. And my mom's like, there's so many people who saw it. She's like, there's nothing we can do. Just stay home. Don't go to the laundry room by yourself. Always go with somebody else. Giving her this big spiel. And I'm looking up in amazement. Like, I swear to God, I was looking up like this. And then she looks down at me. She's like, oh, are you scared, little boy? Man, I promise you guys, I threw my cop toys away that day, but I picked them back up because I'm a kid and I wanted to play my cop toys. But it was, and man, we saw that lady so much, but thankfully next time we saw her, like my dad was there too, so we're a little bit more
and that
confident.
right there is probably the reason why I just know that there are so many, you know, I know black people that something goes down, or if I'm in a sticky situation, I'll be honest with you. I'm calling a couple friends, a couple family members that I know that'll be there right there before and really help me out more than the cops. I mean,
that's not the first line. You know what I'm saying?
There's too many times where you can, or you know, somebody of color calls the cops and they end up getting arrested. It's like, what's going on here? You know?
I mean, I was a kid, but later on when I asked my mom, she was telling me more details and stuff. She was basically making it seem like it was our fault. She was like, oh, maybe you shouldn't have talked to the girl's daughter. My mom was like, I didn't talk to the daughter. I talked to the woman. Like, oh, maybe you shouldn't have done this. Maybe you shouldn't have done that.
That goes back to the if you don't resist arrest, you won't get killed.
Yeah. If you don't do this, if you don't do this, if you didn't do this, if you there's
my
always
bad,
an
guys.
if, you know.
Monday morning quarterback. It's really easy, huh?
Hey, that's a good story though. I got one thing I just want to bring up before end the podcast. Have you guys saw the Terry Crews tweet?
Have not.
Nah, it's probably problematic though.
Let me read it out for y'all. So basically, Terry Crews tweeted, defeating white supremacy without white people creates black supremacy. Equality is the truth. Like it or not, we're all in this together. And he got dragged on the internet for this, and he kind of doubled down on his statements also. But what you guys think about that, him bringing up black supremacy as a result of us fighting back?
I kind of don't disagree, man. I think if you don't, so it's not, take it away from black and white people, right? If you, as a minority, rise to the power and hold something, you become the majority and you become the dictator. You got to work together to defeat something.
Time out. How does the minority become the majority?
So, perfect example, Nazi Germany, right? Hitler was part of the minority, right? He overthrew the current government and became and held on and became the oppressor, right? Because he tried to do it with anger and hate. And a lot of us as Black people are coming from anger and feeling oppressed. And that's the same way they felt, right? So when you come with
it's
that,
two different situations though. The Hitler example. Well, first off, can you ever name a situation where Black supremacy has ever happened in the history of history of human civilization? Like, Black people have not been the ones to oppress other civilizations. They've only gone to other civilizations to empower and educate. They've never been. So the idea that like, if we like fighting for our rights and like to become at least equal, we're fighting for human rights. We're not fighting for supremacy. Like, I don't understand like why us being like.
He's not. I didn't read it as him saying we're fighting for supremacy. He's saying it will create supremacy as a casualty.
That's when I believe that's only when you don't have the powers that be for that minority don't have a clear head and don't people aren't able to check them, because I gotta disagree with that. I think that's the whole thing right there with being a little too much in the sunken place in my mind. Something like that could be thinking like, just because I think it's more of you've seen it happen with white people in the past, so they're afraid that everybody else will have the same
fear
type of mentality.
We brought it up earlier. It's a
fear and guilt.
Like,
Yo,
fear and guilt.
Girum, anytime someone brings up Hitler in a conversation, I kind of tune out. But but like I see what you're saying, like oppressing people and stuff like that. I get that, but like, what? We're so.
What minority was Hitler? Like, I really understand the example.
All right, but you see it happen all the time in Africa, right? It's one dictator who comes out. Ethiopia, for example, was a dictator who came out of the jungle who took control, and he's been the oppressor ever since. But
the African Americans are a minority in this country. I don't think. I don't see that happening. Okay, go ahead.
It's just like you need to work together. I heard that as you need to work together. He's saying if we do it as Black people trying to overthrow white people, it's not going to be something good, is what I heard it as. Maybe.
Okay.
But nobody's talking about overthrowing nobody. Like,
yeah, that's the thing. No one's. He's assuming that we want to Black Lives Matter is overthrowing. It's not. We're not looking for revenge. They're not looking for. All right, it's our turn to be top dog and call the shots now.
Agreed.
Bro, I feel like Terry Crews would have said this during this whole rights movement. Like, I've never, like you said, Lekan, I've never heard someone saying we're overthrowing something. We're saying we're trying to get our rights. We're trying to get at a better standing, not where we're currently at, not how we're currently being treated. Yeah. And obviously, you need the help of everyone. Like, that's a no-brainer. You know what I mean?
I said before, like, I almost caught tears, yo. I started tearing up when I went out to protest, and because in that one location was more white people than Black people, and I was taken back by it,
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it and say all lives matter just because now there's more white people.
Yeah. I look at that statement, and I look at it as a way, like, he's basically saying, like, Black people are inherently violent because if we get power, we're automatically gonna, oppress white people. And it also goes into the fear complex. Like, that whole statement just rubbed me the wrong way. It's like, why would you think that we were like even be violent? Like,
he
was so scared of Obama.
He probably said it wrong, but I don't know. I took it as we need to work together to to overcome.
Oh yeah, I'm totally.
That's obvious though.
No one's against that. I don't know where like he found the opposite of that though. Like, he's acting like that isn't.
Sometimes you say something right and people take it a different way than you actually meant it.
That's true, man.
No, I'm serious.
And nobody can know your intentions by just your words. You know what I mean?
Right.
He might have meant well,
maybe.
But
Terry Crews has been suspect for a while now.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Thank you.
Not because he got his balls held on by like some executive, but like because
I mean that's
other statements he made. Like, he's made.
That's gonna do it too.
Going back to your point, like you said, if we have good leaders. Can you tell me who's the leader of the Black Lives Movement, or who's the leader of this momentum? Like, in the 60s.
Umar Johnson.
Dr. Umar Johnson.
Who do I see now as
you could see, like, you could call out Martin Luther King, you can call out Malcolm X, Jesse Jackson's, all those. Can you really say somebody's name? It feels like more of like people just yelling across, and there's no direction.
I think
I understand what you're saying, but Lincoln.
Oh, I was just real quick. I was just going to say that I think that we don't right now. There definitely isn't a designated person to say, hey, this is the one that we all go to. This person running the show. I believe a part of that is because it just history just shows
They
if
kill
you
all
stand
leaders.
out, that means you're
I
gonna
was thinking
die.
the same thing.
You're gonna die.
I was thinking the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
so as soon as you get this one leader, charismatic, you love what he's saying, they kill him, you kill the movement. But now, since it's like everybody, there's clusters, there's big groups, and there's think tanks, you're not going to kill all of us.
Yeah,
It's different
We're all
chapters. That's
pushing for this.
yeah.
The whole
Do
thing
you
with
think-
Martin Luther King, like he got
Well-
shot and he didn't die from the shot. The
True,
doctor
but-
killed him.
Yeah.
True, but if Martin Luther King did not die, do you think we would have had the civil rights laws that were enacted? He was fighting the whole time. Is when they died that stuff started to change. They're like, oh shit, we're actually doing bad stuff.
I think it was a combination of that and Malcolm, because
Right.
you did have it seemed like majority of the people were going more towards Martin's way, and then once he died, having that that other side, the other Malcolm on the shoulder saying, pretty much being like, I told you,
See?
Yeah.
like, see what
It's
happens.
ironic, don't you think? Like how over time people are more inclined to Malcolm way of thinking.
I think I want to
Yeah.
say Malcolm died
Yeah.
before Martin, though.
Right, he did.
He
I know,
did,
but
he
still
did.
having that
Yeah,
his
yeah.
words in your head
Accumulation
though.
of things.
But
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Big
that,
time.
yeah.
It's because I'm not advocating for violence, but peace never changes anything.
Yeah, very
I don't
true.
think Malcolm ever really advocated for violence. I think he advocated for self-defense. I think that's what
that
he advocated
and by any means necessary.
by
So
any means necessary. Yeah.
So, but I'm just saying, like, if you look over time, very rarely did peaceful demonstration and things like that change
yeah,
oppression.
exactly. So
very true.
wouldn't you be for? I won't say be for violence, but be for self-defense. Because when as non-violent, you can bring up Gandhi, of course, but Gandhi in himself was racist.
Yeah, he had a lot of
Like,
stuff going on.
every
with him.
civilization that like wanted to fight back, or any group of people had to use violence, had to
Mhm.
use some form of aggression to get
Necessary
their
evil.
place. But African Americans are told, stay nonviolent, stay nonviolent, stay non. It's
Mhm.
like a fear complex. Like any person that like even shows any sign of like aggression is automatically like demonized.
Yeah.
So with the whole George Floyd thing, I remember this quote by Malcolm X. That's not a chip on my shoulder. That's a foot on my neck.
My neck, yeah. I posted that on Facebook as soon as I saw it.
Powerful.
Wow.
Man,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
saw
go
that.
on.
Yeah,
I saw some kind of
yeah.
like, is it the sheep who tries to defend himself against the wolf that's being the violent one, or is it the system or the wolf making the sheep violent?
Yep. And the last little meme, the one I saw from Keanu Reeves. People will push you and push you and push you until you get to that dark side, and then play the victim once you take, once they get there. And it's just like, this is like America. Like, what did you expect at this point? Like, did you really think that, a race of people will just roll over and accept being, mistreated? Like, eventually it was going to get here.
Is
Right.
Keanu invited to the cookout? I feel
Keanu?
like he is.
He's been invited.
Keanu,
Keanu Reeves?
Keanu's a
That's
real
man.
dude, bro.
Who's
Yeah,
that?
that's my
He's
man.
been
yo.
invited.
Hell
Bro,
yeah.
that's-
Keanu, I don't even know who that is, bro.
Keanu Reeves.
What?
John
Okay.
Wick, boy, Neo.
Okay. Take
That's
it,
why we gotta be the
Binky.
OGs and
Go nap,
educate
nap.
them.
Okay, let me look it up. Let me look it up.
Keanu
Look
Reeves.
it up. Have you seen The
Wick.
Matrix? John Wick.
Neo.
What was that? What was that movie? Breakpoint. Back in the what was that? The 80s.
Yeah, I think it was Break.
Aquaman?
That was probably the worst
Aquaman.
classic movie.
He's just being a troll right now.
It's like,
Wow.
nah. Looks familiar, but
Oh my God, are you dead serious?
He doesn't know Keanu Reeves. So let's move on.
I mean, I heard the name before, but like
Do you know Liam Neeson?
Liam Hemsworth.
Oh my God.
Liam
I don't Liam Neeson. I don't Liam Neeson because he in the song, the J Cole song.
Hey,
Yeah. That was a
Nigga,
hard ass
like,
bar.
Liam
That's
That bar was hard.
I knew you knew him from there. That's a hard bar, by the way.
Say
Yeah,
it.
for sure.
It was like
Sing it.
It was wish a nigga would like Liam Neeson. I don't even need a reason.
Yeah.
I don't even need a reason. That shit was so
Yeah.
tough.
Liam Neeson, yeah, he kind of broke my heart on that. I was a big Liam fan, man, until I found out all that.
He did the most.
He didn't even care about getting the guy that raped his friend. It was just he just said that he just
it might have been that, which is crazy, which is like really a tough situation to be in. But going after any black person you see,
Just kill any
black
black
person.
person.
He said he was trying to start fights any black person.
Any black
That's
person.
the problem. That's racism. And isn't he Irish or something?
Canadian. He's out there with the Mahad. He's Canadian.
He's Canadian?
What's up, man?
Yeah, he's Canadian.
Is he Canadian?
Yeah.
What's that quote? Like, the longer you grow up, your idols become
Your
Rivals.
right. No, it's not that. It's like the longer
Or
you grow up,
your heroes become your villains or something like that.
heroes become villains or something
You
like that.
live-
Like,
I know the quote.
Batman? You quoting Batman right now? The man said
he was in Batman though. That's the thing.
You live long enough to become a villain.
Yeah.
You die as a hero, but live long enough to become the villain.
You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And then, funny thing is, this quote that I'm looking at right now has.
Wow.
Yo, that could be
man,
another
yo,
conversation, man. The whole Me Too movement, man.
Oh, that's the entire podcast, bro.
Yeah, that's an entirely different podcast, right?
I mean,
Get into that. Let's not get into that right now. That's
All right.
that's-
I guess we should end this on hope, right? Hopefully the next
hope.
generation will
Lou,
have a better way.
generation is up to you. Nahum.
Yeah, stop eating those podcasts.
Watch John Wick
it's
3.
up to all of us. It's up to all of us.
Yeah.
We all gotta be out there, you know. We all should.
yeah, we are the next
All right.
generation.
Nahum, did you ever watch Malcolm X? The Denzel Washington movie, Malcolm.
No.
Doubt it.
Now I'm Malcolm in the middle. Malcolm.
The thing about me is I don't watch movies.
Frankie
like
Muniz
that.
is the best.
I just watch sports, like literally.
Oh,
Every
You
day,
gotta
all
educate
day.
yourself, bro. You gotta watch other
You know,
stuff.
I almost wish I was you just so I could relive all those movies. Watching it for the first time is
Nice,
so
yeah.
good.
that's real talk. Yeah.
Send me a list. I got you.
I got you.
I think another thing.
Hey, Lincoln has a list too. He
You
has
saw
a
me.
big-
I got excited for 2 seconds.
We made a list last time too.
Yo, the one
I got it written
remember-
down. Yeah.
The one I cried on was the one on Netflix about the New York Five.
Central Park 5. Yeah.
Central Park 5, man. I
I couldn't
so
watch
upset.
that.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough.
And this man's our president.
Mm-hmm. Put a bounty on him.
Yo, I just
Real
recently rewatched Fruitville Station.
Oh my god,
Oh, man.
that one too.
Bro,
So tough.
Yeah. Have you guys seen Just Mercy?
Yes.
I have not. I need to watch that.
yeah, definitely. need to watch
Tough.
that.
Still free. So.
Oh, I think another thing we gotta mention also is like, you know, a lot of people are scared of coronavirus, so you know they're probably scared to go out to protest. But there are other ways to like show your support, you know, for the movement, whether it's like donating to Black Lives Matter or talking to your, you know, family and friends that are not educated about this subject, educating yourself about the subject.
Yeah.
You know, there's, you know, writing letters to your or calling your local, you know, delegates and, you know, help doing stuff like that. There's other ways to help without actually going out there and protesting. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
November, vote. Don't forget to vote.
Yes.
gotta vote too.
Yes. I can't stand people that complain and don't vote and they had the opportunity to. I'm sorry, you're part of the problem.
I have a friend like that.
Yeah.
My closest
I
friend is
understand.
like he's
I
always
understand the
talking.
perspective, like you're dissuaded by the system, but like how can you make changes without like
Yeah, sitting at home won't do any changes.
There's a reason why they're trying to keep you from voting. Your voice,
Yeah.
your voice does matter.
I don't know. I don't know when your election is coming up, Mahad, but
Oh, I voted. I voted here.
Yeah.
for real?
Trudeau?
Of course. There's no other like when people say, especially when Hillary versus Trump or whatever, they're like, oh, they're both bad, so I'm not gonna vote. Yo, okay. There's a lesser evil of the two. If you see it that way,
Obvious.
there's a lesser evil. And now, since you didn't vote, we have the greater evil here. So thank you so much for all your help.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, I think we definitely covered a lot here, you know. All the way down, big holiday coming up, Juneteenth. That's when we're dropping this, so everyone will see it soon. Any last words we wanna harp out there just to end it off with.
Is support the podcast, show love,
Absolutely. Yeah.
hit the
yeah.
like button,
Like,
subscribe, all
subscribe.
that.
Leave
Yeah.
comments. Let us know. If you have anything you want to
Yeah.
see more. We're doing this
We're
for you.
definitely
So let us hook
Open to
you up.
topics, open to anything you guys have to say. Just
Yeah.
for sure.
Don't
Yeah.
forget to vote.
Yes. Vote.
Don't-
Vote. We'll leave it on
Please
that.
vote.
Vote.
All right.
All right.
All right,
Thank
y'all.
you all very
Peace.
much for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Check it out.